Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Megan of Mula Yoga, and you're joining me here today in Copenhagen in my little home studio for the time being. For today's class, I wanted to focus on the idea of freedom, especially since we're cooped up inside right now and a lot of us are probably going stir crazy. So when I talk about freedom, I'm talking about it in the aspect of the spine today. The spine is where most of the energy in the body flows throughout. It's the center of everything. So today, when we talk about freedom, we're going to be focusing on freedom in the spine specifically. So when we're talking about the spine, we're talking about this entire area on the back of the body, not just the vertebra, but the space in between. Imagining the energy channel that's running through the spine that then goes out to all the extremities of the body. So it's kind of the center of our practice. It's the center of everything that we do. And the poses are all essentially working on opening up this energy channel. So we're going to go ahead and get started, moving in a gentle flow, not too long, just enough to get you start feeling free in your body, and then some freedom of the mind that will hopefully accompany that. So thanks for joining me, and let's get started. So we are going to go ahead and get started by coming to the top of the mat. Starting with your feet actually hip width distance today, a little bit wider than we normally start, just because we want to give a little bit more space in the low back. And especially if you're sitting a lot these days, then you might be building up some tension in the hips, the low back, that your body just needs a little time to adjust and warm up to. So we're not going to push it too hard today. So feet hip width. Planting them down so all four corners of the feet are equally pressing into the earth. The inner thighs squeezing up and in, and the tailbone tucking down towards the floor. The heart and the collarbone lifting up towards the ceiling, the hands by your waist. Taking several breaths here in through the nose, and as you inhale, feeling the breath move first into the chest. Lifting it, lifting the collarbones, and then feeling the exhale, pulling the belly back in towards the spine. Inhaling, filling into the chest, lengthening and lifting up. And exhale, activating that belly, pulling the core in and tucking the tail under. Take several more breaths like this. Inhale into the chest. And exhale out of the belly. All the while, shoulders moving back and down behind you. The crown of the head stretching straight up towards the ceiling. The legs remaining engaged, grounding down through the feet. Taking 2 more deep breaths. From here, with the inhale, you'll begin to lift the arms, grabbing onto the left wrist with the right hand, stretching up and then over to the right, spinning the shoulders back and pressing down equally through the feet, opening through the heart and remaining with that inhale to lift the chest and the exhale to check in with the belly, pulling the belly button back and in. With the next breath in, coming all the way up, releasing the left wrist, grabbing onto the right wrist, and then leaning over to the left, stretching through the side body and opening through the front. Inhaling, lifting through the chest and the collarbone, and exhale, pulling that belly button back and in. With the next breath in, coming back through center, release the hands, look up. With an exhale, start to slowly fold forward, the hands coming down and back behind you. Slowly as you come all the way to the floor. Then picking up the heels and tucking the hands so that the palms cup the heels. The elbows wrapping behind the legs, the knees bent as much as you need, and the head falling down in between the legs. From here, you'll begin to start to lift the hips by bringing the weight slightly forward into the balls of the feet and then pressing down through the heels, using those arms to pull the chest tightly to the thighs and making sure that that neck stays loose. So maybe moving it a little bit back and forth. A couple more breaths here. Again, using the inhale to lengthen through the chest, and the exhale, see if you can pull the belly in and lift those hips even higher. Then slowly we'll begin to release the hands from under the feet one at a time, bringing them next to the feet. With an inhale, starting to lift the spine, sliding the hands up the shins, coming up halfway, reaching the heart forward. Again, using that inhale to open through the collarbone. And then with the exhale, folding back in. This time, grabbing for opposite elbows as you fold. And then beginning to bend the knees. Starting with the right knee as you straighten the left leg. And then alternating over to the left side. Right and left, moving with the breath, slow and steady and in control, remembering that freedom isn't rushed, and this is something that takes a little bit of time and a little bit of focus. But once it is achieved, it is oh so sweet. Taking just 2 more breaths, back and forth. Coming back through the center. And then we're going to go ahead and release the arms. Start to bend the knees, keeping the chin towards the chest and rolling up from the base of the pelvis, up through the spine. Shoulders rolling back, and finally the head lifting as the arms reach up. The right hand grabbing onto the left wrist and exhaling over to the right. Inhaling, coming through center, release the left wrist, grabbing the right wrist, leaning over to the left. Inhaling, coming through center, look up, reach up. Exhale, sweep the arms back as you fold in, grabbing just for the backs of the legs. And then with an inhale, sliding the hands onto the front of the shins, stretch the heart forward, lift and lengthen. And exhale, folding in, grabbing opposite elbows. This time, you're just going to go ahead and start to bend the knees deeply, bringing the bum as low as you can go. And then coming back up with an inhale, lifting the hips. Exhale, dropping the hips down, keep the chin to the chest, low as you can go. And then inhaling, coming back up. Once more. With an inhale, release the hands, stretch the heart forward by pressing into the shins. Exhale to fold, releasing the hands down to the floor. Bending the knees, starting to roll yourself up, 1 vertebra at a time, coming all the way to stand. The head comes last, reaching the arms up. Inhale, grabbing onto the left wrist with the right hand. Exhale over to the right. Inhale to come through center, releasing the left wrist, grabbing the right wrist before exhaling over to the left. Inhale through center, look up, reach up. Exhale, fold, reaching the arms behind you, grabbing for the backs of the calves. Inhale, bring the hands to the shins as you stretch the heart forward. This time, exhale, plant the hands down. Step the feet back now, coming into a plank position. From here, with the exhale, dropping both the knees down, hugging the elbows to kiss the chest and the chin. And then pressing back up, knees. Inhale. Then exhale again, chest and chin. And then inhale, back up to the knees. Once more, exhale, chest and chin. This time, sliding forward onto the belly, Press the pelvis down, the hands into the floor as you inhale, lift, maybe only just coming up a little bit here. And then exhale, pressing into the knees, back onto fours, tucking the toes and coming into downward dog. Hands here are shoulder width distance, feet hip width distance, the fingertips spread wide, the arms rolling in and forward to stretch the heart back, and the pelvis rotating open towards the ceiling to stretch through the backs of the legs. Take 3 more breaths here. With an inhale, you'll begin to look forward, coming onto the toes, bending the knees, and then stepping the right foot and the left foot, hip width distance. Folding in with the exhale. Inhale to stretch the heart forward. Exhale to fold. Bend the knees deeply, rolling up 1 vertebra at a time with your inhale, coming all the way up, grabbing onto the left wrist. Exhale over to the right. Inhale through center. Exhale over to the left, grabbing onto that right wrist. Inhale, center, and exhale, sweep the arms back, folding in, grabbing for the backs of the calves. Inhale, use the shins to stretch the heart forward. And exhale, plant the hands next to the feet, step it back into plank pose. Exhaling, dropping knees, chest and chin. Reverse with the inhale, tabletop. Exhale, chest and chin, and inhale, press it back. Last round, exhale down, chest and chin, sliding forward with the inhale, coming up cobra, and then exhaling, coming back on the knees, tuck the toes, downward dog. Several breaths here. Think about pressing the chest back towards the inner thighs and rotating the inner thighs back towards the back wall. Steady breath. Remembering again to breathe those inhales into the chest, lengthening and lifting the collarbone, even here in your down dog. And the exhale, feeling that belly button pulling back and in. Take 1 more breath. With the inhale, look forward, coming onto the toes, bend the knees. Exhale to take the feet forward, 1 at a time, hip width distance, folding at the top. Inhale to stretch the spine forward, lift and lengthen. Exhale to fold. Bending the knees, inhale, come all the way to stand, 1 vertebra at a time, reaching the arms up, grabbing for the left wrist. Exhale, leaning over to the right. Inhale, coming through center, replacing the left wrist with the right, and exhaling over to the left. Inhale, center, look up. Exhale, sweep the arms back, grabbing for the backs of the calves. Inhale, moving those hands to the shins to stretch the heart forward. Exhale, plant the hands next to the feet, stepping them back, plank pose. This time, holding in your plank pose, just a couple of breaths, starting to pull that belly even further up and in. And then we're gonna do just a few plank rolls. So, starting from here, you're gonna go ahead and bend your knees, pushing your hips back towards your heels. Then lifting yourself high onto the tiptoes, keeping those heels lifted. And then inhaling, rolling back, coming into plank. Exhale, coming back, hover the knees, and then lift the hips. Inhale, roll it forward, coming into plank, stacking the shoulders. Exhale, drop it back. If you need to, you can always drop your knees before pressing up, toe tip, down dog, and then roll it forward, plank. Twice more. coming forward into plank. Exhale, dropping knees, chest and chin. Inhale, coming forward, cobra. Maybe pressing the tops of the thighs and lifting up into upward dog. And then exhaling, pressing back, downward dog, several breaths. Use this as an opportunity to catch your breath, but also to return to that breath. In through the nose, into the chest, and exhale out of the nose, out of the belly. All right, so from here, we're basically just gonna reverse that before we come down onto the mat. So coming back first to the top, inhaling to look forward, coming onto the toes, bend the knees to step or jump, feet hip width distance. Inhale to stretch, lengthen, lift the spine forward. Exhale to fold it in. Inhaling, rolling up one vertebra at a time, coming all the way to stand. Grabbing on to that left wrist as you reach the top. Exhaling over to the right. Inhale through center, replacing the left wrist with the right as you exhale over to the left. Inhale through center and exhale, sweep the hands back behind you, grabbing onto the backs of the calves as you fold in. Inhale, stretch forward using the shins, and then exhale, plant the hands, step it back, plank pose. Several breaths here again to start. Really pulling that belly up and in, starting to fire up the core. And then this time, we're gonna start back in our downward dog. So taking it back with an exhale. We're gonna reverse what we did last time. So if you need to stop and watch, you can always do so. We're gonna start by exhaling, coming back to sit on those heels. Then with an inhale, look forward between the hands, shoot yourself into plank, and then exhale, press back, downward dog. Bend the knees, inhale forward, plank, and then exhale back, downward dog. 3 more, so 5 in total. Inhale as you shoot forward, exhale as you press back. Last 2. And last 1. Beautiful. Coming back, downward dog, take several breaths here. We're gonna just come once more to the top of the mat, and then we'll come to sit. So, with your next inhale, looking forward between the hands, coming onto the toes, bend the knees to step or jump, feet hip width. Inhale, stretch the heart forward as you straighten the legs. Exhale to fold. Roll the spine up with your inhale, keeping those knees bent, grabbing onto the left wrist at the top. Exhale over to the right. Inhale through center. Exhale over to the left. And then inhale through center. Exhale to wrap those arms back behind the legs as you fold in. Sliding them onto the shins to inhale, lift forward. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back into plank pose. This time, dropping the knees, lowering again, chest and chin. Inhaling, coming onto the belly. And this time, sliding the elbows underneath of the shoulders, the hands straight out in front of you and coming into Sphinx pose. All 10 toes pressing into the floor, the shoulders rolling back. And you want the bottom of the sternum kind of dropping down towards the floor, but without collapsing into your shoulders. So see if you can get those kind of opposite reactions here. Pulling back and opening through the heart, but also a softening through the belly. Softening through the spine and especially the low back. And if you'd like, you can always take this a little bit deeper for the low back. Maybe just by playing, bending one knee at a time, or maybe bending both legs together. Whatever really feels good to you. Maybe rolling them like windshield wipers. Spines are very unique to each of us, and we all hold tension in very unique ways. So finding what works for you is also important. Take 2 more breaths. from here, dropping those toes down. You're gonna bring the hands underneath of the shoulders, lowering the chest first, and then pressing up. Then bringing the knees as wide as the mat, the big toes together as you start to sit the hips back on the heels, really pressing them as far back, and then walking the hands forward. Releasing the head down onto the floor, roll the head left to right several times. And then again, if you need to watch what I'm doing, you can go ahead for the first round, give me a little peek. But with the inhale, what you're gonna do is you're gonna start to look forward, arching through the spine, coming up as you would kind of for cat-cow. And then exhale, start to round it back, pressing into your child's pose. And using that breathing technique. So inhale, opening through the heart, dropping the belly, lifting the chest. Exhale, pulling the belly up and in, and then pressing the hips back. Do this 3 more times. Inhale, drop the belly, open the pelvis, lift the heart. Exhale, round it out, press it back. Twice more. Coming back into your child's pose, taking several breaths. With the inhale, coming back up now onto all fours. And we're just gonna now take something kind of similar to cat-cow, but it's sideways. So you'll start first with just a little sway, leaning into the right hand and then the left hand, right knee and left knee. And you're just gonna add a little bit onto this. So as you go to one side, you're gonna start to drop the belly through the middle with an inhale, and then exhale, pull it up and in as you round through the shoulders, moving from side to side. So inhaling down and exhaling up. Starting to really find freedom in the spine, freedom in the body. Taking about 3 more in this direction. And then reversing at the bottom, going the opposite way, several rounds, and just finding your flow. Not worrying too much about what it looks like, just more about what it feels like. Twice more. And coming back through center, we're gonna inhale, come onto the knees, making sure that they're about hip width. Tucking the toes so that the heels are lifted. Engaging the legs, so starting to lift through the front of the body, and then inhaling, lifting the arms up, grabbing for the left wrist, stretch over to the right. Inhale, coming through center, grab onto the right wrist, stretch over to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, reach the hands back now for the heels. Then starting to fold yourself in so that the crown of the head, and if you need to know what the crown of the head is, you can place the palm of your hand right here in between your forehead, where your middle finger rests on the top of your head. That's the crown of your head. So if you need to take a moment, find that, you can do so. Starting with your hands on your heels, you can release the grip a bit. As you come forward, you're gonna place the crown of the head onto the floor, then using the hands to keep hold of the heels, rocking slightly forward to place the weight on top of the head, coming into rabbit pose. And this is kind of a good lead up for inversions. And when you're here, try not to move your neck. Breathing deeply. Maybe starting to lift the hands back behind the spine, interlacing, and then stretching them over the head. But this is just an option. Take 3 more breaths. And then slowly, if you have the hands up, releasing them back to the heels. Then slowly rolling yourself up with an inhale, coming back to sit on the heels. 3 breaths. Lifting with the inhale, pulling the belly back in with the exhale. Beautiful. From here, you're going to go ahead, inhale, come back up onto those knees. Just a small back bend here, and then we're going to take it down for our last couple poses. So, bringing the hands so that they rest on the low back, the palms resting on the sacrum, and then squeezing the elbows and the shoulders back, starting to lift the collarbone, lift the chest with an inhale, pulling the belly back in with an exhale as you start to slowly lower back, coming into a small back bend. And then only if you're comfortable, beginning to reach one hand at a time for the feet, then stretching the heart up towards the ceiling and pushing the hips forward before maybe letting the head fall back. 3 breaths. Use the hands to slowly replace on the low back. Rolling yourself up, the head comes last. Inhale, reach the arms up, grabbing onto that left wrist, stretch over to the right. Inhale through center, grab the right wrist, stretch over to the left. Inhale, center. This time, untuck the toes. With the exhale, start to sweep the hands back towards the heels as you reach the bum down towards the heels. Then turning the palms up towards the ceiling, letting them rest on the floor, bringing your forehead to the ground, coming into child's pose. And again, taking the head a little left and right, starting to loosen out the neck. And all this while, we've been talking about that breath filling into the chest and exhaling out of the belly. And you can find that even here in this child's pose. And imagining the chest also on the area on the back of the body. So filling not only the space between the collarbones, but also the space between the shoulder blades. And as you feel that belly pulling up and in, can you also feel then the release in the low back, the tucking of the pelvis? And then even deeper, can you feel the energy channel starting to run through your spine? Can you start to feel that freedom? Take 3 more breaths here. With the inhale, bring the hands underneath the shoulders, start to roll yourself up. Coming to a comfortable seat, the head comes last. And then going ahead, finding yourself in a cross-legged position. You can take lotus, half lotus, just whatever's comfortable for you. We're just gonna take our last little minute here in a couple more movements, a little seated meditation, and then we're done. So, tucking the bum back so that you have the sit bones grounded, the hands resting on the knees to start. And then we're going to go ahead, scoop the spine back, bringing the chin to the chest, using those knees as an anchor. Send the head a little left and right. And then with an inhale, start to pull the chest forward, lifting the gaze. A few times back and forth. Take an inhale and then exhale, scoop it out, round it out. Inhale, pull it forward, lift it up. In this part, you really can find that breath. Exhale, scoop the belly back, really pull it all in. Inhale, lift through the heart, lift through the collarbones, open it up. Another 3. Last one, really deep, really big breath. And then coming back, resting in center. For this last little bit, if you need to bring a blanket under your hips, maybe a block, something to kind of prop yourself up so it's a bit easier on your spine, then please, by all means, do so. Otherwise, you're just going to remain seated. We're just going to take about a minute or two in meditation before we close out the practice. So, going ahead, finding yourself comfortable, allowing your hands to rest on your knees or perhaps in your lap. But wherever they are, making sure that those shoulders are still moving back and down behind you. That the spine, so all the way from the base of the tailbone up through the top of the head, is straight, long. The energy just moving freely through that energy channel. It almost feels effortless to sit here. The spine supporting your body and supporting your mind. Supporting your practice. One last time, returning to that breath. So inhaling into the chest space, really feeling it lifting and opening, and exhaling, feeling that belly pulling back and in. Returning to this breath just for about a minute. And as you do, really bringing attention to what this breath does for the spine. So not only focusing on the chest, but feeling the vertebra beginning to separate, lengthening from one another with the inhale. And then feeling the front of the body almost letting go as the spine starts to hold up and support you. Strength and softness in one moment. And in one breath. As you take your last few breaths now, allowing for your breath just to find its natural rhythm. No extra effort or force. When we talk about freedom, especially now during these times where we have very little of it, it's important to remember that freedom is just a state of mind, and it's not actually a state of being. So you can find comfort and you can find freedom within your home, within your community, within your friend group, just within yourself. And a lot of the times it's just built around your practice or the way that you practice life. So shifting your perspective, finding yourself on the mat, allowing yourself to move, to feel, and to experience those things that do feel restrictive, and then finding the strength to move past them. So as you sit here, I'd like us to take 3 final breaths, and these are just really freedom breaths. So we're going to take a deep inhale through the nose, starting filling from the base of the belly now, reaching all the way up through the chest with the inhale. Open the mouth, even stick out the tongue. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath, hold at the top. A few extra sips. Let it go. Gently open your eyes with an inhale. Give yourself a little smile, maybe a little giggle, because that's always a fun thing to do. And know, again, freedom is wherever you can find it. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. As always, these classes are free, but if you'd like to make a donation, you can do so in one of 3 ways. I'll leave the links so you can find them there, or you can find them in the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining Mula Yoga. I appreciate having you. Namaste.